radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
Hi. Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out.
Say my name.
DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Going here. And hello. Are we all here? Check 1 2.
Mic
Is
check.
it 8?
1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Check 1.
We sound good. We sound good around here. So it's Thursday again, and it's another episode of Let's Get It Together with J9
and Jesse.
And our special guests, as you can see, are in the house. We are we're gonna be tackling again some uncomfortable topics here. But before we do that, let me just, I like to take a moment for us to take a breather. Everybody take a breather, shake it off, take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out. We're all alive today. But let me just ask everybody how we doing today. I'm doing just well. How we doing, Jesse?
Just well? I am here. I showed up, and I am present and accounted for.
On time.
Fellas?
I'm great. I feel like $1 million. $1 million make you want to holler. Ah!
That's always a good thing. So, how you doing over there?
I'm fantastic.
Okay, so let's get some introductions for those that are new. Everybody who's joined us, we want to thank you for joining us on Hot 702.5 FM. And thank you for participating and joining us and watching, and the views and the listeners. We really appreciate this because we're trying to get it together here on this show. So let's get some quick introductions. You know who we are, but let's introduce yourself for the newbies.
I am Big Suge, a.k.a. Sugadosha the Great, a.k.a. Mr. Tell Your Friends About Me.
Right.
And I am Q Mecca, 2 texts up. Tell your other friends about me.
Tell your other friends.
You for the other ones?
The other ones.
So we've been pretty hot and heavy the last 2 series. It's crazy now because we have really established a series on this whole dating, situationship, sex on the first date, wifey duties as a girlfriend. We touched on a lot of subjects. So if no one has seen those yet, please go back and watch and share and like episodes 1 and 2. And now we are on volume 3. And today we're talking about accountability. So we might as well jump right on in here because that is a subject that could carry us probably the rest of the year in terms of the details and what it means. You know what I'm saying? Like it means something to everybody else. But I'm going to start by saying accountability is an obligation or a willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's own actions. And so to give an account means usually to give an answer, and then you got to be capable of being explained, which is explainable. So, those 2 things go hand in hand when it comes to, you need to be able to answer to someone, could be yourself, and then you need to be able to explain the behavior. So that's part of the accountability. So I'm going to start by asking everybody individually what accountability means to them, definition, because that was just a Webster's version. We all have to take in our own. So we're going to start with our guest in the house. Let's get it. Q.
Well, to me, accountability means being responsible and owning your behavior, your words, why you do things. If you do something and somebody asks you, hey, why did you do that? And you don't know, or you act like you don't know, or you change the subject, or you blame somebody else.
You got every excuse in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
lack of accountability.
So we have a good
Echo
going on.
Yeah, I hear it.
But we're going to keep it going because
So those are the things that make accountability me.
that
It's just
excuse
owning
thing
it.
is huge.
Yeah. Or blaming something else.
And blaming someone
Well,
else.
if they wouldn't have did that, I wouldn't have did no.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I am
It's a
so with
reaction
you on that one.
to everything.
You gotta
Absolutely.
you own your decisions. Say why you did it.
Truthfully.
Oh, look at that. Hold on.
Truthfully.
We have
we
C4
got?
in the house.
C4 in the house.
Hello.
Happy birthday, boy.
Happy birthday.
How I feel
Thank you,
to be?
thank you.
Happy
Appreciate it.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Welcome to the 40s Club.
The whole
Now your hip
Undrafted.
finna hurt when you wake up.
That's
Crew
it?
You don't even know why.
My hip was hurting at 33,
He said,
Well, your other hip finna hurt.
and I had arthritis at 34.
Stop the madness. Look, we have not had C4 with us live. He's called in. So C4, let the people know who you are and
Yes.
welcome to Let's Get It Together.
So everybody, C4 Nate from the 618. You know, just here representing for my boys, Undrafted Allstars, with the girls, the ladies, J9 and Jezzy. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate you.
We out here.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We're
yes,
excited
yes,
to have you.
sir.
You
Yes,
know, today
sir.
we're talking about accountability and
Okay.
what it means to you individually. I gave a Webster's description of what accountability is supposed to mean, but this boils down to individuals. So we're going to go ahead and let Suge take the floor.
I agree with you.
Anything to add on or take away?
Nope. I said it all.
I mean, we
Did it all.
I agree with you too.
Listen,
so
we all feel the same.
Yes.
It ain't no add to it or nothing like. I mean, of course we can add to it, but that's majorly what it is. What he
Okay.
explained, and it's. I mean, we can point the finger to certain people and be like, well, this, and this, but when you get down that far, then it's case by case. But overall, that he explained what it is.
But overall, C4, jump on in there. Accountability, what does it mean to you? What is the definition in terms of how you apply it to yourself or how you see it?
Okay. Accountability to me means being able to look at yourself and be completely unbiased. We as people always tend to be a little biased about things. We want things in our favor, but true accountability doesn't allow you to do so. You have to look at those ugly things that are about you, because as people, we have beautiful things about us and we have ugly things about us. And so you have to look at those ugly things and you have to say, okay, this is also part of me.
Ooh,
And you have to look and talk to yourself and say, hey, what is it that causes me to behave in this manner or to rationalize this type of thought?
okay.
I like that.
So that's that introspection, that search deep within yourself. So for me, accountability is responsibility. They kind of go hand in hand. So for me, I feel like you need to be liable to be called on. You need to be, you have to have a cause and an explanation in order for you to. So what's the reason and what's the explanation? Like, you really have to be able to talk to yourself about what is going on and what you're trying to address. You need to be able to answer for your conduct. And part of being accountable also means, for me, being trustworthy. That, because it's the ability to sometimes even choose between right and wrong and acknowledge it. So for me, that trustworthy is huge. Now, in a relationship or a partnership or a situationship, how does accountability affect us? How does that work in that dynamic? If anybody understands what I'm asking. So accountability is important for a relationship because that's what builds trust. That's what builds confidence. That's what makes you feel like you can be vulnerable. And quite frankly, to me, it's the number one thing you should be doing when you get into a relationship. People think it's because you're cute and you're humorous. I think it's because you can be accountable, held accountable.
You feel like that's number one?
For somebody to be able to willingness to acknowledge there's a problem, hell yeah. Willingness to acknowledge there's a problem and work on it. That's more important than you being cute and funny.
What do you got to say about that?
Willingness to acknowledge a problem with self is difficult for a lot of people, but I agree with what Q and C4 said, that, you have to be able to look at yourself and draw an unbiased opinion, of the situation, and I think I'm pretty good at it, you know.
You think you're pretty good.
Don't look like
I
that.
think most people think they're pretty good at it.
I'm pretty good at it.
Well,
I know, but you look at him like.
Well, let me challenge you. What do you do? Because if everybody knew how to hold themselves accountable, there wouldn't be an accountable coach that actually gets paid to help you learn how to be accountable.
That everybody knows how to do it.
No. I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
What I'm saying is, tell the people how you do it, because you're right. Everybody doesn't know how. So how do you consider yourself to be good at that? What do you do?
Well, I think I'm kind of diplomatic anyway, where I kind of look at both sides of every situation. I mean, I'm going to listen to your story, but then I know that there's another story that I don't know necessarily, or if it's me specifically, I'm not, and if someone will ask me a question like, well, why did your last relationship end? I'm not going to always say, well, it was, he did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. I'm going to say, well, you know, I chose a partner that I knew was not exactly where I wanted him to be, but I decided to stick it out, and it turned out exactly how I anticipated it, but I hoped for the best. So it was my fault that he effed up, because I knew that's what he was going to do. I knew he was a fuck boy from the gate, and I chose to contend with him.
That's an interesting example.
The hell?
I mean, but it's the truth. What you mean?
That's an interesting.
That escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly.
Me. I mean, but that's how I take accountability for myself, because I don't go in it with blinders on. I go into a relationship knowing what I'm
getting yourself
okay,
into.
but then I
I'm
respect that.
with.
I understand that. But Suge got something he think he got to ask you.
Sounds like
what you think
like.
about what she said.
I know, because
he said, and he had the face. He had the face like you was on some bullshit.
Why did you continue to go through that? Give me
why?
Yes.
Because
you knew
a physical attraction.
Thank you.
That motherfucker.
I mean, but I was
That's what it is, C4.
Speak on it.
He was laying it on her.
I mean, but I'm honest,
Yeah.
right? And I'm taking accountability for the reason why that relationship didn't go anywhere, because I knew going in.
You wasn't giving no effort.
Right.
He was a fuckboy.
You wasn't giving any, but you wasn't getting any effort though, because you knew that, correct?
No, I gave some little effort.
You gave effort to a fuckboy.
Yeah, we stayed together 8 years.
You think that this
So how much work does it take? Go ahead, C4, take the floor.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You stayed together for 8 years, so it took you 8 years to realize he
No,
was
it
a
didn't take
fuckboy?
me 8 years. I knew
How
it
long
from
did
the
it take
gate.
you?
My friends told me from the gate what he was. I knew what he was from the gate, but I thought
you could change him,
he could change.
or you could change
You
him.
can change him.
I thought he would change. I thought he would grow, and I thought, I could help him along the way, which I did. Because
I'm not mad
he's
at
a
that.
good person for the next girl. He was a good person to the next woman. So I did help along the way.
Okay, so if you helped along the way and you can say that he got better, why not just say the two of you fell out of alignment?
We did.
Well, they didn't start.
But you say he was a fuckboy though.
They didn't start aligned,
right?
So they didn't just fall out of alignment. They start off misaligned, and she decided that she was going to press forward.
But Nate,
if you knew that this is what it was, and you signed up to join on that wagon, that's alignment. It may not be the alignment that one particularly wants over the other one.
Sure,
but that's still a type of alignment.
I agree with Nate.
I agree.
And
I agree.
Nate's second part of the question was, if you helped him and it was 8 years, why did you say he was a fuckboy?
From the gate?
Now, is he still a fuckboy?
From the
So you changing from being a fuckboy to something else?
He elevated a little bit.
He absolutely elevated.
He did. He
can
count
to what?
To not a fuckboy.
So he was a lick boy.
A lick boy.
I don't know.
So he elevated from.
Yes, you do know, because women have categories for men. Where did you put him? He from fuckboy to what?
To
a decent,
a good boyfriend to his next girlfriend. He got it. He didn't have a job. He got a job. He kept a job. You know.
So you made him better.
Yeah, I mean,
So why did you stay with him?
Why didn't I
Yes.
stay with
Yes.
him?
Well, before we'll go ahead and answer that question, because I want to get back to the accountability part, because it's not just the acknowledgement that you went in with a
This is-
fuckboy. It's the work you do before you take that same mentality to the next relationship. That's part of the accountability cleanup, and that's what I was trying to get at in terms of how do you get
Okay.
yourself there. But answer that question, because I am curious too.
What?
Should.
Why didn't we stay together?
Yeah.
If you made him better,
If he became a decent man and held the
to
job and
your
all the things.
standards, why didn't you stay with him?
Because I still held him to some of the stuff he
Even
did
though he grew,
previously.
you still held him against that shit.
I
You held it
still
against
held
him.
some of that stuff against
So you do
him.
like the judges do to us when we in court.
We already down.
You judge them harshly from the past.
Still did stupid shit. He did stupid shit, and so
Well, I
I
mean,
just got to
you
the
was a-
point where I couldn't take
You
it
were just
anymore.
perfect the whole time?
No,
That-
absolutely not. I was.
So let's
probably
talk about the
controlling.
work that it takes before you go from one relationship that ends in that type of thing before you go to someone else.
Right.
Because you got to be willing to.
Look in the mirror and see what you see. Look really into the mirror. I think we walk around with the mirror on everybody else, like, look at yourself, and then we never turn it
Right.
and look at our own selves.
want
So I agree with you. Accountability is, okay, this last relationship didn't work. Instead of saying he did this, he did this, he did that, what did I do to create the atmosphere? Because we all create an atmosphere. How did I respond to different things? How can I respond better and create a better atmosphere for the next one? That's accountability to me. You got to ask yourself some questions.
And they hard
Some
questions.
hard questions.
Right.
Could I have handled
be
that better?
honest and be totally honest with that
That's,
shit.
that's
And
the hard
then
part.
the bottom line is to be honest with what you find.
Everybody don't
Right.
give themselves that hard critique that they give everybody else out there in the world. They don't
That's-
give themselves to
that's
that.
right.
And what they
That's
need
right.
to do is
Right.
that.
It's a
Right.
great
Right.
it's a great quote saying we are excellent lawyers for our own defense and great
part.
judges for other people's flaws.
Yes.
Ain't that some
I
shit?
Can't nobody change but
I
you.
agree with that. I
So,
absolutely agree with that.
my Aunt Linda is watching, Janae is watching, Lamont's watching, and we really appreciate you guys. Listening.
Hey y'all.
You want to call in
Hey,
and join
y'all.
the conversation? I really
Sorry, I be
need
cussing.
702-551-5261. Join the conversation about accountability. We're talking about individual accountability, and then we're talking about a group effort, because part of accountability is being able to hold someone else accountable. That means a person needs to trust you to tell you their dreams, their insecurities, maybe their goals, and you be an unbiased person, a no-nonsense person, not willing to take another person's excuses so that you can hold them accountable. I believe that lines up. Because once you figure it out, you probably should help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should probably, people that are around you that you know are not either miserable or they're going through some stuff and they really can't figure out, it all starts with that self, in that mind. How do you see yourself? What are your values? What are your dreams? What are your goals? How are you getting to those goals? Are you excusing it? Are you procrastinating? That kind of thing. So join the conversation, 702-551-5261. So we hadn't finished the answer, I think, what does accountability look like in a relationship and why that is so important. Because for me, I need somebody that pauses before they react. And that is part of accountability, is to be able to stop and think about how you respond or how you're going to respond to a situation, not emotionally, but rationally. I think that's important. That's for
a fact.
me.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
I think that
Right,
we all
sir.
need to take a pause. We emotional, especially black people, we've been through a lot.
Right.
We handle a lot of things with an emotional response rather than a strategic or one to. I think you always got to ask yourself some questions. This is what I think. In a relationship, if you and your partner have an argument or your partner do something that you don't like, before you react, you ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish with what I'm going to bring to them? Am I trying to have an argument or am I trying to get them to see where I'm coming from? That will stop you from reacting emotionally. We be quick to jump emotionally because we take it personal, we feel whatever. It's a book called The Four Agreements. You should read it. One of them is don't take things personal. But we always should ask, what is our goal? I'll tell my daughters the same thing. Before you do something, ask yourself, what am I trying to do? And is what I'm trying to do a representative of who I say I am? And if they are, if the answer is you answer that one and you answer that one, then you go forward. If it ain't, you got to think about it, like you said, and see what your goal is. Because there's no right or wrong. There's only if you accomplish what you were your goal. Am I trying to start an argument? Am I trying to break up? Am I trying to make an atmosphere of tension? Am I trying to have an atmosphere of dishonesty? Or am I trying to have a good relationship? Am I trying to be healthy? Am I trying to communicate effectively, efficiently? Those are questions that before we speak to our partner or somebody or anybody, we ask ourselves those questions, and then we'll get a better route to our goal. I don't think we do that. I think most of us are emotional off top. So it already, and emotions escalate. They go from 8 to 10. Quick. End up in jail. All right, go ahead, my brother. So what you think?
That's true. But the one question is, do people actually know what healthy relationships and healthy communication look like?
I don't think people
Can you imagine there's a lot of people out here that don't even know what that really is, what it entails. And I'll be honest to say, I've learned more about it within the last few years than I've ever known. Because I came up in dysfunction. So, my dad was out doing what he did. My mother, she passed away when I was young. He remarried my stepmom, and she was there, but there was so much dysfunction in what he was doing versus what she was trying to do, and there was oftentimes clashes. So if you don't know what the healthy thing looks like, it's hard to try to emulate it and get to it.
That's a fact. And I don't even know how you would begin that. It got to start with self, though. It got to start with, to me, therapy. I think an epiphany happens when you go through something a lot of times. Like, how come all my relationships end the same? You got to ask yourself, it got to be me. What am I doing? And then, like you said, you can get therapy. You can look inward, start meditating, read personal development books. But none of that matters if you ain't willing to do the work. If you're not willing it starts with you. So outside of anything else, you got to see it. You got to be like, okay, I'm tired of having this same thing occur over and over in my life. That's a pattern. We got to watch patterns. Our own patterns. Our own patterns is the ones that we need to really pay attention to, and we have control over changing. Other people, we can point it out to them and then try to help them see their own. But yeah, you're right, bro. It's really hard to know what a healthy relationship looks like if you've never seen one and you've always been in dysfunctional ones or jumping in and out of relationships, bringing more baggage to the next one, and then they pay for the sins of the previous one. We have all experienced all of those things. So it's a process, bro, that it takes time and a lot of self work. And I don't think everybody gets it. Some people just stay in their victim mentality. Just blame everybody else.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I'm glad you brought that up. I was looking at this blame shame thing. So where that blame shame thing lies is a terrible, terrible place, because what happens is people aren't willing to accept the fact that we make mistakes. That's the first thing in my mind, and this is an excerpt in my book. Be willing to embrace the fact that we make mistakes. We're human. We're not perfect, right? But what happens is when you make the mistake, you get in this place of shame, or which makes it harder to admit, and it winds up being painful. It winds up being distracting, and it winds up keeping you from doing the work of being accountable and moving forward, because you're stuck in shame. You're consumed in this shame. You're consumed in this area of, I made a mistake, and now I'm not going to necessarily admit it, and now you're stuck there.
And also what adds on to that is your partner criticizing you harshly from your mistake. They also got to understand that you're human. They got to create an atmosphere where where honesty and we can trust vulnerability is accepted, and we don't judge. We got to have an atmosphere of that. Right. We can't be out here like, oh, I don't make mistakes, so if you make one, I'm going to be critically harsh. Boss lady. Ta-da.
Speaking of boss lady, she said, I know I had clear representation of it in my life. She's talking about accountability. However, because many others saw that in their homes, they don't know how to deal with the relationship properly. So I think she's also speaking to you, C4. Or not.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Because not many others have seen that in their homes. So how do you work through that, right?
Right.
I wrote down a few notes, and the first thing you have to do is adjust your mindset.
That's
You
the
have to
hardest
find
thing.
a way
Absolutely.
to empower yourself by journaling, doing a self-assessment, reflection of past decisions that didn't go well or non-favorable outcomes, how it impacted your life, and then give yourself some clarity on it and give yourself some affirmations, read the books like you were talking about, define your values. And some of this work needs to be done before you get in these situationships, okay?
All of it should be. It's in
All
a
of
perfect
it
world,
should
but
be.
it
Matter
ain't.
of fact,
It
if
ain't.
you going through something like that, you shouldn't be dating at a fucking all. Like at all.
Okay, here's the
Yeah,
thing.
that sound good.
They sound good, but people want
People
companionship.
want companionship, though.
People
People
want.
don't want to
You
be
are
But-
about to
I'll-
destroy
I'll-
another person.
Go ahead, C4. What?
I'll
I
say,
agree with
I'll
Suge.
say yes and no to that.
Okay.
Someone
ahead.
that is more educated on it and more aware, self-aware, would probably
Could be helpful.
choose not to date in a situation like that because they understand that they have the work and the progress that they need to get done before they can get to that point.
That's true.
But there are some times when there's different occasions where it's, say you meet someone and y'all hit it off and you guys got a connection and you like, look, I'm kind of in a bad place right now.
I'm a little
working
mental.
through this. I'm figuring out, not just mental, but emotionally,
I'm a
whatever.
work in progress. Those people.
You're a work in progress. And there's some people that say, okay, well, you're a work in progress and you're self-aware of that, but I don't mind. I'll be on that progress journey with you.
What a blessing.
Right.
So I won't say,
He's right, though.
huh?
I said,
So
what
I
a
won't say
blessing.
that maybe you necessarily shouldn't date because again, we're all human, and one of the basic human needs is companionship.
It is companionship.
Right.
But I
Absolutely.
will say
You shouldn't
that you at least if you're not where you want to be, and you're self-aware that should definitely be something that let known up front.
That's the problem, I
And
think,
it
though.
should be a thing of. Go ahead.
No, you finish your statement.
No, I was just
It should be
saying
a
it should be a thing of, hey, this is what it is, and not take their decision from them to decide if they can handle it or not.
By being honest. That's the problem, though.
That's a fact.
First of all, I feel like people who are the ones that are out here damaging people are not self-aware.
Right.
Facts.
So that's the
Right.
problem.
Because if they was, they wouldn't probably be out here
Damage.
crashing into everybody,
Right.
making more trauma.
Right.
That's what
Or
we're
if
doing
they
out
call
here. We
it
out here
problems, they
crashing
would
into
be
each other.
aware
like
enough
each
to
other.
say, hey, you know what, I messed up.
Or they'd be like, okay, let's stay like you started. Like, this is what I'm going through. I got baggage from my last one. I just want you to know this up front because I want to take it slow, so I got to work on myself.
Yes.
And I think people will appreciate that.
I would.
If you say that. Because I think we all sort of kind of got that, a little bit of that in us. But we be having representatives, man.
We be
getting
having
our
representatives. So one of the things you can do when you know that you've hurt somebody or that you've been in a hurtful situation is you might want to stop the harmful behavior. Okay? Just stop that behavior that you know is either hurting yourself or hurting someone else.
But first, you got to recognize it.
You got to recognize it, and then you got to call it out, right? So that's part of the recognition. The recognition is being able to name it and call it out. I believe in calling that
What
shit
about
out.
the people that don't call it out and they still out there?
Somebody need to call them out. That's why I don't leave relationships without telling people why I'm leaving a relationship. I'm like, nigga, let me tell you something
Yes.
about yourself. And I'm going to call your mama and your auntie and tell her and tell them just how damaging you were because I want everybody to know. I'm just saying.
She is the queen
Click.
of the Dear John.
I'm not mad at
Text,
that.
break up over text.
Yeah, she is the queen
No, I'm
of
not
the
go-
Dear
I'm not gonna
John.
text it.
Let me
No.
tell you about
No.
yourself.
The only way I'm going to text it
But you will
is
do it.
if you
No,
are
she gonna let you
impossible to
know.
deal with,
She
then I'm
gonna
going to
let
need
you
to
know.
get you in a text message because I'm a
She's-
writer. So I'm going to read
Don't
your
text-
ass on that text message. But I'm one that's going to tell you face to
Gonna
face.
let you know.
But you
Don't
got to
text me
be.
because I'm going to delete that shit.
I ain't reading that long. I don't
Yeah,
I ain't
I'm not
read-
reading.
Ladies, we not reading them long ass text
I do
messages.
not read long text.
We ignoring that shit and we gonna put okay.
And here's
We
the
gonna be
thing.
I'm
mad.
gonna give you a thumb.
So check this out. Here's the thing. The thing about text messages is Text messages can be interpreted based on your thoughts and
Oh,
your feelings
yeah.
in that
Oh,
moment,
yeah.
as
Right.
opposed to what's actually being said.
But if
So
I
it's
tell you
never a
your
clear,
penis is
effective way of
small
communicating.
and your mouth is big and you're an alcoholic, ain't no misinterpretation. You know exactly what
No.
the hell I was
But
saying.
what if
But
he
then
said
I'm
you
gonna
was
be like,
sucking
are you
it?
saying
Right?
You was
That
sucking
is
it
not
for 3
wrong.
years.
like,
For 5 years it was. But
if you say my penis small, I'm gonna be like, why would you lie to me when you was yelling?
Because I was trying to help you grow. In
Well,
many
now
ways.
you need to be accountable for lying.
You're absolutely
Yeah,
correct.
there you
So now I
go.
gotta go.
Stroking that ego.
Now I gotta go in
Stroking
my
that
closet
ego.
and I gotta address.
Don't stroke
Anyway,
my ego,
she
rub
was
my
quiet.
belly. Shit.
So somebody pointed out that Suge is way too quiet, and Suge been way too quiet these last 2 shows. You are
y'all
not.
saying everything, man. Y'all get.
Hey, tell him what you need to tell him.
Tell them
Yeah.
what
Just
you
say
need
it.
to tell them. No, stop playing.
Accountability? I mean, y'all touching it on some soft shit, but it's cool.
Well, then
I
touch
tell
on the
us-
work.
We want some heavy. I want
Touch
some
on the
heavy.
work. Touch on the work.
Good. No.
No, I want the heavy. We want the heavy. We
Yes,
need the heavy
yes.
because
Say
we're
the
in the
heavy.
healing process. This is why we having this conversation.
Yeah, because you need both. You need
Yeah.
the heavy and the soft.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a heavy. I need a response to this.
Give me a heavy.
Finishing one task before you start another is one of my biggest issues. That's why I'm Gene of all trades, because I do a lot of shit and I mastered a lot of stuff, but I ain't necessarily finishing one relationship before you take on another one. Can you touch on that for me? That's part of accountability.
Touching on it.
What?
People jump from relationship to relationship or into another person's arms trying to deny themselves that, thinking that other person gonna fix them. And sometimes they do. And I think I explained this the first time. That person may fix it temporarily, but then that person they're there. Then once you max them out, you're gonna move on and do it again. But are you really healed from this person doing that? He only satisfied you for him.
That's right.
So when
I
you move
agree.
to another person, then you find out you ain't healed up yet. You need a time period. Some
Yeah.
people need longer than others. This is what I'm saying. Like, don't date unless you just gonna go out there and just smash people. That's cool. But if you gonna go out there and fall in love with somebody or get into somebody and you know good and damn well you damaged. Now ain't no, like
No.
C4 said. Like C4 said, it's true. Like, okay, you tell me what you got. I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna take you on or not.
Right.
Right.
Now, and
Right.
men do not get enough credit just for taking on
Women's
women's
bullshit.
shit. Because that's basically what women want. Can you just put up with my shit?
Yeah,
Till I get tired of you.
Hey, we always the women do always say, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best.
And I've heard women
Ain't
say
nobody
that.
trying to
I've
handle
heard-
nobody.
And
I've
then
heard
when
I'm
men
like,
said, they be like,
fuck
shut your ass up.
I'm like, fuck that. No.
That's number one about
I've
Work
heard
on
accountability.
more
yourself.
women
That's number
say
one.
that than I've heard men say.
That's
So
number
it's
one
true.
about accountability. Knowing when to
I
shut
just said it 3
the fuck
hours
up.
ago.
Yes, you did. That's number one.
Where my ladies at? 702-551-5261.
Please call in.
5261. Let's talk about this be quiet. Just shut the F up. Because listen,
70215. We can say it.
listen, I strongly believe you have to be quiet. There is no introspection, there is no conversation, there is no recognition until you can be quiet. That is not just your mouth, but your environment. Shut that shit down.
Your mind, all that. You're
Shut
right.
that shit
That's what
down.
meditation
Right.
is.
People don't
That's
do that.
yeah.
Listen
That's
to
what
yourself.
meditation is
People
for,
do
and
not
centering
think outside
yourself.
themselves, bro.
They don't
And they
typically.
think they're at a certain. This is what everybody. Whatever you are, everybody think highly more of themselves than the fuck
Now,
they
ain't
should.
that something? People tend to think more highly of themselves than they are.
Everybody does.
Well,
We all
Yeah.
do. That's
And
a
there's
fact.
nothing
We're
wrong.
And some
supposed
people
to,
walk it.
though.
There's nothing wrong with the affirmation of feeling like you want
Like
to
you that
elevate
Right.
yourself.
You're
I am
supposed
that
to.
bitch. I
But
am.
you also gotta, like
But
you
I gotta
said,
humble myself.
humble. You gotta still.
Humble.
You gotta be quiet and listen and hear what
Right.
people saying. The people
And
around
women,
you.
we talk too much. I'm not coming
Women-
down on the women. If the men said it, y'all be mad. So I'm gonna say it. I'm going to say it. Black women, particularly, because this is about us
Right.
healing ourselves. Shut up sometimes.
Sometimes just be
You
quiet
don't
and
have to
listen.
win the argument. You don't have to override your point all the time.
Last
And really,
word.
you ain't gotta
right.
be,
And you don't always have to be right.
watch your public presentation, ladies.
That's number one. Two.
What?
That's a whole lot of number one.
Man,
Watch your
Right.
public presentation, right?
yeah, man.
And
That's
And if you're
respecting
dealing with
is big
someone-
for men.
absolutely.
brother.
I'm hitting on that too. If you are in a space where you may be more self-aware than that man, or more self-aware than that woman, then why speak at them in condescending tones?
That's
That's
cold.
like the biggest
Right.
way to turn this
Yeah.
left. It goes
Yeah.
left so quick because
Yeah.
you can express what you need to express and what you're feeling and what's going on, but you don't have to do it in such a condescending tone to where you make them feel less than.
Real shit.
And
No,
I'm
that's real
sure,
talk.
some of us at some point in time have all done it. I know I've
I
done it
know
before.
I've done
Mm-hmm.
it. I know
And
I've done it.
I
A
make
lot.
sure I do make a conscious effort
Who,
that
me?
when I acknowledge it and I see it, the thing I do is I make sure I give an apology. Now I
That
understand
apology.
apologies
Yes.
come,
Right.
and we understand they don't have to be accepted
Right.
just because you give one, but it's
Right.
necessary to give one so that you can at least self-correct and
Right.
get yourself on the path where you need to be.
So there is a difference between criticizing and feedback.
Facts.
Feedback is a part of that accountability when you have that partnership. I want to give you some feedback about how I feel this situation went versus being completely critical. So I'm giving y'all some jewels now. Feedback is huge for helping people grow. How did I do?
Right.
How did I handle that? Oh, you handled that well. You know what I'm saying? Or you did, I don't think you handled that very well. These are healthy ways and healthy dialogues and healthy conversations between two people.
Yep, that's the truth. That's facts.
Feedback.
Yeah.
So delivery is
Feedback.
important.
Feedback comes with understanding and grace. It don't come with, oh, I'm better, or I don't make that mistake, so my mistakes that you making is worse than mine that I make. That's what it seems like when you try to compare who's worse or who's right. So you always got to have compassion and understanding for human beings. We all human.
Passion and understanding.
Right.
If we have more of that, we'll be better off as with each other, and as in relationships, and as in just community.
Bottom
With my
line.
brother, if I got more compassion
Bottom
with my
line.
brother or my sister, that's because we ain't in a love ship. I can still have compassion for you when you mess up and still
Yep.
hold you accountable.
And
Right.
still do both.
And still do both.
I don't gotta be disparaging at you or towards you or judgmental to hold you
Right.
accountable.
Right. So the balance between an accountability partner or your
I think that
partner.
part comes in.
Go
when-
ahead.
What you're explaining right now, I think that part comes in when that person not accepting what you're saying or not trying to hear it, so they think they got to speak up or get into this
Yeah.
to get you to pay attention.
Yeah. So
Because you can
that's
say
true.
it, and somebody just won't get it because they don't think they're doing it.
Yeah.
But then if you say it 4 or 5 times and like, okay, you're not gonna say it no more, that means you don't care
That means
to a
yeah,
person.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And that's-
now this is when it changes, because even though you might think it's for you, you taking more than the other person. So I just blow it off, but she like, well, I mean this, and vice versa.
Right.
And you
That's
hold
true.
that against that person until they get your point.
Right.
So get the other person's point before you
Yeah. Listen
speak
to
over them
Right.
or bring your point ahead because he said one word 3 hours ago, and you just want to get on that one word or statement when he said a whole damn paragraph.
That's true.
Right.
Sometimes we focus on the wrong thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
We hear one word and we trigger by that word, and that's what we hold on to.
Yep.
When the whole overarching
There's a
statement was
whole overall statement to consider.
exactly.
Like you ain't hear nothing I just said.
Agreed.
But you said this.
That's why sometimes we got to just have patience
Right.
with each other. with sometimes we don't word things the best. Sometimes we angry or frustrated when we word them. But we got to understand. I read a book called Nonviolent Communication, and he said that, I'm going to give y'all a quick example. He said, there's 2 ways you can handle this situation. A husband is about to leave for work, and she's like, all you fucking do is work, and slam the door. He can handle it 2 ways. He can be like, well, I got to fucking pay the bills. What are you talking about? Or he can listen to what the need is that she's asking for. Even though she said all you do is fucking work, what she's saying is, I want some time with you. So he can either say, well, I got to pay the fucking bills. What you mean I got to work? That's going to cause an argument. He going to go to work mad, she going to be at home mad. Or he can say, you know what, baby? I'm going to take the weekend off and we're going to go do date night or take a little trip and spend some time together. Which way you think is going to be better for the relationship?
Right.
Right.
But we don't be thinking that. We
be
be
defensive.
thinking we got to defend ourselves because so
Right.
we got to always understand that our communication sometimes is violent.
Delivery.
to
That goes back to your delivery. Kanoy McMillan says, I don't know if observing being quiet is appreciated all the time. At times hearing, oh, so now you don't have anything to say, so now you feel like you have to defend yourself. So I don't know if the being quiet had to do with the relationship. It had to do with being quiet for yourself. So that's I think that's what we were speaking on, is taking time to close your mouth, shut down the TV, shut down your phone, shut down all these other things, and figure out what's going on with yourself.
Yeah. Quiet your
I was saying relationship.
Yeah, I was thinking that's where he was
what
coming
he was
from.
saying, so what she's saying is she don't think that being quiet is appreciated all the time. So then when you are quiet, you're getting you ain't got nothing to say, and now you feel like you need to change. But that sounds like an argument in waiting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shug, because this was.
Go ahead, Q.
No, go ahead, because.
Go ahead, C4.
Look, this is what I think. Yeah. I think that sometimes when you choose and pick to be quiet is also a big component of that. If we're having a discussion and then you get asked a question and now you're quiet because you don't want to be accountable for
this isn't a healthy
and that's not the time to be quiet. Yeah. That's not the time to be quiet and then be like, oh, I was quiet. No, we talking now. If you won't be quiet, then we could talk later, or be quiet in your own mind to figure out what it is that you're looking for and what you want. But it ain't the time to be quiet when the accountability is the discussion at hand.
Right.
Because that'll make somebody mad. If we try to have a talk and now you don't want to talk now because you're getting held accountable, that's gonna make me feel like, oh, so you now when you don't want to talk when it's time.
And you don't want to be on the defensive. You don't. Diggs BTW7 said, "Hey, what's up, G?"
What up?
So then we're talking about being responsible, being answering for your behavior, and then being accountable. So what was I going to say along them lines? It was something somebody said. But how would you go into a new relationship? You just now met somebody and you feel like you've done the work. How are you introducing this accountability into this? Because now we need to have this conversation. This isn't a conversation I've had in any one of my relationships. So I've clearly grown that now I want to have this conversation about how you handle your mistakes, how you handle me, and how do we handle situations when we don't agree or when we make mistakes. How are we going to address those mistakes and clean it up? How are we going into that conversation now?
I think the only way you go into it is go ahead, Nate. I'll go after you.
No, go ahead. I'll finish.
No, go ahead. It's your birthday. Right. Birthday first.
Well, I'm saying, well, like I said, I look at things like it's just more of a being just upfront with things. This is where it's at. I'll say for me myself, if I'm in that space, when this happens, I become overwhelmed. When I'm overwhelmed, then, I need some time to process things, because at that time, if I don't have the time to process it, then I shut down. And I know it's not healthy to shut down, but, this is something that, again, I'm working on because I'm on this journey. Mm-hmm. So you just have to let it be known. What are the triggers? What makes you shut down? What can trigger your angry? What words can trigger you to make you angry, and all of this? And you just sit there and you have that honest, raw discussion. This is it. And then you make sure that you're on the receiving end and you listen to their things. And it may help if you journal these things for yourself. Okay, this is something that triggers my partner, because okay, now I know this is something I don't want to say. This is something I don't want to do, because this is going to bring about this reaction, and we're not trying to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Anytime we have a misunderstanding, disagreement, we want to be able to effectively communicate, take time, and understand each other's side from it. So that means that requires me to listen, then that requires me to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You got to go into it straight talk. You got to be willing to be vulnerable, both of y'all.
Yep.
Telling you what you're going through, how you work through things, your process, and they tell you theirs. And you guys have to understand that each other both have a process, and the goal is to have a healthy relationship. So that's the question you always ask yourself. So your
partner needs to be trustworthy, okay? Because they got to be able to handle that information without throwing it back in your face, which is what a lot. I got to be honest, women, again, We do that very well.
Facts.
I know men not nearly as much as men. We get vulnerable information from our mates, and then we will throw it back in their faces.
That's facts.
And use it against
That's
them.
why your mama smoked crack. You're like, God damn.
Men don't trust women.
That's the number one reason.
Right.
Men do not trust women for that reason.
Have a problem opening up because of that right there.
Because of that right there. So your partner needs to be trustworthy.
And been vulnerable, and then it was used.
And I've experienced that quite a bit.
In a moment
I've experienced it quite a bit when I've allowed myself to feel as if I'm in a safe space, and I've relayed some things that happened or who I experienced, and then the moment we get into it, those gloves come off, and here comes the low blow.
We got to learn how to not do that.
Because here's the thing: what happens is, you guys may make up, but for someone that's an overthinker, that process is still playing in the back of their head. So it may come back up 6-7 months from now, and you like, I thought we were good. What's wrong? No, it's because that's been replaying in their head back again and again for the last 6-7 months, and they finally got to this point where they can speak on it again.
Right, that's facts. I would suggest everybody. This is what I'd use. Before you say something that you're gonna have to take back or apologize for, don't say it. Don't be so quick to throw shots or low blows at your significant other, because you can apologize, but they're gonna still feel somewhere down that you think that, or you thought that, or you believe that about them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll use them simple. Years ago, I called a girl I was with a bitch. And it was the first time I called her one over after years of being together. But when you do it, it gets easier. So it's something that you always got to remind yourself, like, listen, I got to be respectful, and I don't want no low blows. I always want – so with me, if somebody who I love is making me to a point where I know I'm about to go off, I would just get quiet. And like, look, I'm just going to be quiet because you're not hearing me, and I don't want to say nothing I regret.
Right.
And I've had women thank me, like, thank you for doing that, because even though they was wilding. They was wilding, trying to get me to say something.
Damn, they deserved it.
Right. Yeah. And she was like, after she realized that what I was doing, she's like, thank you for that. And I was like, it's crazy that you was trying to wow to get me to say something, and then you thank me for not saying something. But I'm doing me. I'm trying to grow.
This is me. Yeah, this is my growth.
So I suggest y'all don't be so quick to shoot shots at your loved one. That shit is crazy, because it's hard to.
It's hard to take that back.
You can't really take it back. You can say I'm sorry, but they might still think you feel that way.
Trying to rebuild that trust is going to be real hard, right?
Yeah.
It is.
And that's all loved ones. That don't mean that's your brothers or
apologies
sisters.
are given, but they don't have to be accepted. And that's what people have to understand. That apology don't have to be accepted by that person, and you have to be okay with knowing that they may not accept it.
Right. Because you got to do it from your heart.
Yep.
Not because you want them to accept it, because that's when you start.
You want forgiveness. Yeah, you want to forgive yourself. So I want to recap real quick some of the things I think are important when you're trying to. Krista Lynn says she never understood the low blow thing. If I get to that point, I'll leave. I've crossed the line. And then Kanoy says,
Hey, Crystal.
Which is the trying to be quiet and feeling like you're being antagonized to participate in an argument or escalation. Yeah, that's when I walk away, Kanoy. I have to be able to take a breather. But that's why having this conversation before you get into something is important, because you'll find out where people's minds are. How do you handle conflict?
Is that really happening?
Well, so what I'm saying is
the conversation.
So what I'm saying is, what I'm asking people to do now, moving forward, is
have the conversation.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
I have never had this an accountability conversation.
I don't think most of us have.
Ain't nobody having no accountability.
Well, I'll be damned, I am.
Like, check this out. I feel you, and I understand it, but ain't nobody putting their feelings out there like that.
Well, it don't have to be your feelings. It could just be at least what I expect from this relationship. The situation.
So what Suge is saying is, 2 shows ago, you said you only gonna get 50%.
Thank you.
Now you're talking about.
I'm just I am still only giving partial of myself.
So then, how can you do that?
When I know you're giving partial of yourself, I'm not giving you anything.
Hold on.
But you're missing that I'm still gonna have the conversation. That don't stop me from expressing what I expect out of this. What I want out of this relationship. So I'm still gonna have an accountability conversation with you. That don't mean I'm gonna come cook for your ass. Like, that's what I'm saying.
To me, it sounds like you want to start with being upfront and honest, but you ain't giving the whole
Right.
thing. So
I'm
it
not
seems,
saying I won't.
I
it
agree with
seems,
you.
it
Listen,
seems,
I expect this from
I
you,
agree with you,
but I'm
E.
gonna give you this and
No,
yeah, that's what it feels
no,
like.
When I
That
feel that
too.
you hold up. When
Well,
I feel that you're doing good, I'm
It's
gonna
some
keep giving you a
therapy
little bit
needed
more.
around this
But
beat.
you gotta be perfect for me to keep moving forward.
That's what it feels like when you say it that way.
Well, let me clarify. I'm saying if I meet you today, Q, and you and I go out on a date, I am not coming to cook for you
Tomorrow?
tomorrow.
Of course
What I'm
not. I
saying
wouldn't
to
expect that.
okay, so what I'm saying to you, but tonight
And
we
there
still
are
gonna
some
have
that
a
do expect that though.
stop playing with me, especially when they find out
Yes.
I'm a chef. Okay,
Well, I expect
But-
you to cook now and write me a book.
But I am.
Since you're a writer and a chef.
Around this bitch. But what I'm saying is, she said, y'all need therapy. Carrie said, y'all need that. But what I'm saying is, I'm still going to have a conversation with you
Better
tonight.
than me.
About,
Lord.
You might be wrong, though. I got that good butter and that brown sugar. Stop playing.
hey,
Man, stop playing.
Anyway, but I'm still going to have a conversation with you about some of my expectations.
Right.
I'm not going to leak on you. I'm not going to say, I need all this and I need all that. But I'm trying to work on having a healthy dialogue with the person I think I might be interested in.
Oh, I agree
so
with
it ain't
that.
about giving nothing at that point except good conversation. And so that to me is defining values, is finishing one relationship before another. I like reward systems. I
do
like
too.
reward systems. If
I
I
think
do
positive.
well or if somebody does well, I think I want to give you equal to what your reward. That's a reward system. It's healthy.
positive reinforcement.
So
I
you're
agree.
talking about
Positive
I need you to be positive. I need you to do all this stuff, and then and if you're perfect, then I'll do this stuff. No, I
nobody say
will
that.
reward you for. It's kind of like a dog treat.
Positive reinforcement. Yeah, I get it. It works better than I'm threatening. I'm going to leave you. I'm going to write you up. I'm gonna,
Right,
I don't
right.
want no dog treat.
Right.
But I think it's important that that you track your progress and that you you ask people that you trust. Because here's my problem, men, and this is going to be part 4 for me. Where do men go? Because women have a plethora of support.
Right.
we
If
don't
they
have
reach
support.
for it.
Yeah,
Men don't
y'all
always
don't
have
have
that
that.
support.
Each other
so I would
sometimes,
be
that's all.
curious to know, and
You
I think
seem
that's going to
very
be part 4.
evolved.
We don't have support. We got to talk to each other. Me,
Yeah.
him, and Nate
But
have
you-
talks outside after our show
But
about
that
all
is
of
a
this.
support system.
Yeah,
That is
it's-
Well,
it's-
they
other men.
had to create one.
But
Right.
but it's
We
hard.
usually have our mom, we have aunties, we have grandma, we have friends, we have people that have elevated. Women have come a long way. We have a great support system if we reach out for
Other
it.
men
Men
don't
have to
listen to
create
It's
one.
hard to be a straight masculine man
Right.
in this society.
That's right.
Because
Right.
your
That's
thoughts
right.
and how you feel
Don't line up with-
it's gonna line up with the narrative. So you're gonna get called racist, oppressor, wild shit. You be like, yo, I don't want my son to wear a purse. That make me bad.
That makes you
I don't want my son to wear a
Yeah.
dress.
Right.
That make me bad.
Right.
So we can only talk to other men. We had a
Right.
conversation. Me, him, Nate, and my boy Sean Johnson. Shout out to you. And we had this conversation about this, and he was like, we don't have nobody to talk to but each other. And if we say what we really feel, then we get bullied
Right.
on the internet or by the people.
Yes.
So
Real shit.
we only can talk to each other.
And I think that's going to be part
That's,
4.
that's why this is
because-
such a good thing, because
It
we're
is.
talking to each other.
And we're trying to heal some of the things in the community that we haven't done before. So like you said, Suge, ain't nobody having this conversation. You're right. We're not, but we want
And we need to. And we need to for
Absolutely.
us to grow. We need to for us to grow. We ain't going to grow if we don't.
We're not
Right.
going to grow. This is elevation. It's 2023.
We do need to have a conversation, but we need to
And
point
like-
out the majors.
Okay. Well, we have 60 seconds. Give it to us.
Stop fucking.
Oh, really? Smash on the first date?
Yes.
So no sex? You saying no sex?
No sex.
I agree with him.
I agree. I absolutely
You know
agree
what?
because that's
agree
how
with him.
I set
If
boundaries
women
for
stop
myself.
smashing, I guess let's do this real quick. If women do this, I'm not going to have sex until I'm in a full-blown relationship. Men ain't going to put up with it, but eventually we going to have to get around to that.
We're going to have to get
You're-
around to
yeah.
the,
We
to
do
the
set the-
part.
we set
What's
the
gonna
tone.
break it
We
up?
set the tone. I
Right.
agree with
But
that.
what's going to break it up are the other women.
The hoes, the ones the ones you
Hey, hold
appreciate.
on. I like hoes.
The
hoes that
hoes.
leave first. The people that come out of it first going to be the hoes. They're going to have their first pick of all the high value men out there. Other women going to see that shit and run. And they're going to be back to like it was.
Shout out to the hoes, because I love y'all.
Oh, we back to
Hoes
we are not
get it
shouting
cracking.
out.
But I agree with what Suge's saying. I think we should, this is what I think anyway, before we have sex, we should build a friendship. A friendship should be the foundation of any relationship, even if it don't go to a, I got plenty of homegirls like Crystal Lynn, shout out to her.
Shout out to
Me and Crystal
she
have
she love you
built,
too.
me and Crystal have built a friendship, and it didn't go further. It just went to, we're friends, and we have a love where she could call me if her tire flat, whatever. I could call her to
See,
make
I
me some
got them
hot
men
tamales,
friends. That's
whatever
right.
it is.
That's right. That's why you don't
And
let them go,
I
Crystal.
told her-
You don't let them go.
I told her
keep
my
your
job
friends.
as a black man is to make sure that you as a black woman can see love from a black man, and it ain't no ulterior motive. It ain't, I don't gotta have sex with you to come help you
Straight
or to
up.
fuck with you, or if you need me, I'm gonna be there. I will love you. I will love you as a black woman where we don't have to be in an exclusive relationship where we having sex.
That's right.
I love you as a friend, as a woman, as a queen of the earth,
you
mother of the
can call
universe,
on
like
me.
my daddy said. Shout out to my daddy. But yeah, I think we start with that. We gotta have a friendship, and all of them ain't gonna go to situationships or love ships. But that's cool. The best thing you could give somebody is friendship.
Friendship.
Right.
To me, it's the most precious and beautiful thing you could give somebody. A true friendship.
Yep.
But are men really capable of being just
I
friends?
am. I believe so because I got
Absolutely.
a plethora of homegirls, like 10. That
Are
I'm just
you
friends
the exception or are you the rule?
with. I'm gonna say that I'm the person
I
who
don't
worked on it and believed it. So we all can do it. What I'm
That's
saying
right.
is, if I could do it, we all can do
Absolutely.
it. You just gotta be. You gotta change your mindset. That's what you
You
said from
gotta
the jump.
change your
Right.
mindset. So, in
Like,
essence,
I know for a fact myself, I have a lot of women that are my friends, and it ain't never been no things that are crossover. We ain't never been trying to be intimate or nothing. We just have a
these are the
genuine friendship
exceptions. They're
where we
definitely
can
the
discuss
exceptions.
things and get perspective.
Well, I got
But
one
look,
thing.
because I
Well,
have a
he
rare
just-
friend that does not want to sleep with me. It's just all of them want to sleep with me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
But that's cool.
Absolutely.
But let me
About
say
to
this.
say,
Absolutely.
But let me say this. Wait, hold on. We have
Perspective is
to. We got to
important
wrap
to
it up.
both sides.
We got to wrap it
Oh
up.
yes.
But it is
Good conversation,
great
good
conversation.
conversation.
I appreciate the guys for being here today. C4, I'm so
Yes.
glad you joined us.
Yes.
Me too.
All of the
too.
listeners
Happy
and-
birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Get you some
You guys-
head for your
Thank you,
birthday.
everybody.
Right. Happy birthday. I'm gonna leave you with this. Stop
That is toxic
harmful behavior.
behavior.
Name and call out your behavior.
Toxic.
Acknowledge the effects that you have done on the other person. Make repairs to harm the cause and change the harmful attitude and behaviors. Those are 4 steps you can do right now to make accountability a little easier for you. So with that, we out of here.
Peace.
Let's get it together with J9 and
Peace,
Jezzy.
Jezzy.
Next week, same time, same place, 6 p.m. Hot 702.5
Peace.
FM.
Peace. Love, light.
Have a great
Joy.
week.
Happy birthday, boy.
Thank you, brother.